Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. So as much as I want to work on my two-wheeled projects, we have to get back onto the Corolla. It's one of those things that's just taking some time and I'm just kind of slacking, to be honest, but we need to get back onto that engine bay and start welding up all the seams and getting it ready for body filler, smoothing out, and paint. So let's see real quick what we're dealing with and then let's hop onto the bay. All right, so it's been some time since the last video, so I'll just give you a quick update on what the bay looks like. Pretty much the same as we left it. All of the holes, for the most part, are welded up. The only ones remaining, actually I think the only one remaining is the one back there. I haven't decided if I'm gonna leave that one or not, so we'll decide in this video, I guess. But mainly what we're gonna do in this video is we are going to start welding up all of the seams. So we gotta come in here, wire wheel all the seams here so it's nice and clean metal, and then essentially we're gonna kind of get it to this point. So where this is welded up with the seam there, just prepping it for filler, and then we'll take some fiberglass, probably some Dynaglass or something like that, and smooth everything out once everything's all welded up. We don't want that filler cracking, and that's why we need to weld everything as one piece. So that is what we're going to get to in this video. All right guys, so be ready. This is gonna be another one of those multi-day video sort of things. So there's gonna be a lot of time lapses, a lot of different angles welding, but you know, we gotta get this stuff done. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop onto the engine bay. Alright guys, so I wanted to stop the montage kind of section of this video and go over exactly what I've gotten done on the engine bay so far and kind of what we have left to do. I also want to touch base on a couple of other items in the bay. One in particular is the Strut Towers, and I want to show how I did that, and I want to go over kind of step by step in this next section because it's a pretty big focal point when you shave a bay. That's one of the main things that sticks out at you, the engine and the strut towers. So let's show you the bay, see where we're at, and then we'll get back on all this work. Dude guys, look at all of that just shaved weld. That's just little fragments of metal from shaving and welding and shaving. Oh my gosh, there's so much of that stuff all over the place. This place is gonna have to get a really good cleaning once I'm done here. But anyway, let's get into the engine bay and kind of where we are. So this is what it looks like right now. Doesn't look like a lot, but The cool thing about it is all of the seams down over by the frame rails all the way across, those are in pretty good shape. They're sanded down for the most part. It's all metal. I haven't used any body filler yet, which we are going to use body filler to smooth some stuff out. But for the most part, at least the seams are practically non-existent anymore. It's a very tedious process. There's a lot of sanding, but it is looking pretty good. I am kind of proud of myself. Look at these welds here. They're getting a lot better, at least in my opinion. That weld bead right there, I was pretty happy with. Looks pretty good. But I still got to sand that down and sand down some of the welds down here. And of course, a bunch of welds back there because I can't get any grinders in there to actually weld those smooth. And it's super hard to weld in that little confined area. So I probably got to buy a die grinder and get that all taken care of at a later time. But at least the welds are there, even though they are ugly. We'll get that all smoothed out and looking a lot better. Alright, so all that's all nice and fun and good, but I definitely wanted to take a second and go over the strut tower. This is something that I am super, super impressed with. I think I did a great job. Don't mean to be tooting my own horn, but this looks so good. It's all metal, no filler. There is going to be a little bit of smoothing out and touching up that we're going to need to do with it, but it looks freaking amazing. I mean, look at how smooth and straight that is. I'm so happy with how this all turned out. I'll put a picture here. I did this once over the weekend, or I attempted the strut tower over the weekend, and I got it looking okay, but I didn't like the way that it had turned out. So I actually redid this off camera, and I'm kind of upset I didn't really explain what I did, but I will come over here and show you how to do it on this side step by step, because I think this is a pretty important part. This, when a bay is shaved, these strut towers and the engine are the main focal points in the bay. So you got to make sure you do this right and you do a good job on both these strut towers. Now what I will say is when I originally did this, I tack welded this seam. It was folded over and I tack welded it around, then I tried to sand it smooth. But the issue with that is that when you do that, there's a lip going all the way around it, and I didn't like the way that it looked. I wasn't going to be able to get it nice and smooth without putting a pretty good amount of body filler on here. And any sort of body filler on the top of these strut towers just sounds like bad news, because it's gonna crack for sure. So with that being said, I wanted to thank and give a huge shout out to Justin over at the Initial Dweebs channel. I'll put a link up to his channel or his videos somewhere up here in the corner. Definitely go check him out if you haven't already. He's got a lot of really cool builds going on his channel, and one of them is basically shaving an engine bay on an AE86. So he actually goes over in one of his videos the proper way to work on a strut tower and shave it down, and I actually ended up following that process after I kind of messed it up the first time. I am gonna go step by step on this particular strut tower so I can show you all how I did it in case any of you all want to do the same thing if you're shaving your bay. But anyway guys, it's cold, I'm losing daylight, so let's go ahead and hop back onto this bay and we'll get some more progress done. Okay guys, so the first thing that I want to do here when working on this strut tower is we got to get rid of this lip, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark a little bit where I basically want to make 2 cuts. So I want to keep these factory spot welds, which I believe are about here and here. So we're going to do our cut, I don't know, maybe right here. And then we're going to do another cut right here. All right, so then once we make a cut there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a grinder with a flap disc, one of these flap discs on it, which is 60 grit, very quick to cut through metal, so be careful with it. But the cool thing about this is we're just gonna take this flap disc and we're just gonna grind down the top of this, which is basically gonna cut all the way down until it's very thin, right on the edge here. And then I'm gonna take a flathead screwdriver and kind of pry it up. So let's go ahead and do that first and get this top piece removed. All right guys, so we've got a cutoff wheel on the angle grinder. Guys, make sure when you use these, especially if you don't have the cover on it like me, that you wear proper protection, right? You don't want this thing blowing up in your face. Make sure you keep yourself safe when you do this kind of stuff. God, I hate that thing. All right, now we are going to use the flap wheel all the way around the top here until we sand down almost all the way through this top lip. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. and then we'll pry this piece up so we can remove this whole top lip. There we go, this is what we're trying to get off. So if you did it right, you should have a pretty good little lip around here. That's pretty flush with the top of the strut tower. There we go. Alright guys, that's part one done. You want to remove that top lip. So now let's go ahead and clean up this edge. Alright, so we're back to the angle grinder, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do a very small cut all the way around this little lip. All the way around. You want to keep it just a couple millimeters deep, and you want to try not to get in the top of the top hat. And what that's going to do is that's going to lower this edge kind of down below the top of this strut tower piece, and then that's going to give us a good surface to weld and everything be nice and flush. So here we go. All right, now we start to That's what we're talking about. We just want to take off a little bit up the top. Now let's get the grinding wheel back out. We're going to grind this edge all the way around to have a nice, smooth welding surface, and then we'll start tack welding this whole thing. Now we clean all of the E-coating and the rest of the seam sealer off with this little wire wheel and a drill. The thing is, take your time on this step, because the cleaner the metal, the easier it's going to be to weld. That's looking pretty good. Let's take a hammer and kind of hammer this little lip flat just a little bit. Sorry, you probably hear the welder in the background, but this too, just take your time. Tack welds is all you need as you work your way around. So let's go ahead and do that now. guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and in the process, maybe you learned a thing or two on shaving an engine bay on a car. So if I had to put a number on it, I'd say we are about 90 to 95% done fully shaving this engine bay, at least when it comes to the welding and the metal portion. Now we are gonna need to jump back on there and use some body filler to smooth everything out, and we're gonna do that in the next couple of videos. So the remaining, let me just show you. So here's pretty much where we stand with the engine bay. Everything's looking pretty good. The only thing that I really need to work on is one, that hole back there. I still don't know if I'm going to patch that or leave it. Kind of leaning to leave it, but I may end up patching it just for that super clean look. And then also the seams right here. So where the seam meets the frame of the car, I still have to decide what I'm gonna do there. I do plan on welding, but I think I might just do a little bit of stitch welding, and then maybe, I don't know if I'm gonna use filler or maybe some seam sealer that's really thinned down to make that nice and clean. I don't really know what the best way is for that particular seam there, but because I know it's gonna be super hard to grind down. But yeah, that's pretty much all we have left in this bay. Other than that, everything else is nice and smoothed down. So guys, if you like this sort of content and want to see more, make sure to press that subscribe button below. And if you like this particular video, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. It really helps out the channel. And really quick, for everyone out there that's watching these videos, this particular process is not hard. So learning to use a MIG welder and learning to tack weld and all that stuff is not that bad. The hardest portion with this is just the time that it takes to get everything looking good and everything sanded down and kind of welded up. Honestly, I think I've probably done more work on this bay than I have pretty much anything on this car really in general at one time. It may not look like it in the video because I try to cut them a little bit short, but there's been a lot of work. There's been multiple weeks of work that's gone into this. And like I said before, it's not hard, it just takes a lot of time. So if y'all are considering doing this, just make sure, keep in mind, this isn't something that you're gonna have done in the span of like a day or two. This is gonna take some time, and you're gonna have to devote a lot of time to it in order to get it done. So anyway guys, stay tuned for more AE86 content, and until next time, I'll see you later.
Listen.